Hey you guys, today's video we'll be breaking down Light Form, Dark Form, and Double Form. These are triggered by the newly added Oathkeeper and Oblivion Keyblades. Both Light Form and Dark Form are incredibly similar in terms of combat, so rather than make 2 or even 3 separate videos for each individual form change, I decided to just put all these form changes together into one big video. There's a ton of information here, so let's get right to the breakdown. First off, let's talk about how you can actually get these Keyblades. As theorized by a vast majority of the community, these are able to be unlocked by turning your proofs over to the Moogle. The Proof of Promises, acquired by finding all of the lucky emblems, unlocks the Oathkeeper Keyblade, and the Proof of Times Past, acquired by beating Critical Mode, unlocks the Oblivion Keyblade. I loaded up a save at the end of the game and didn't receive either of these Keyblades, so I assume that these Keyblades can only be acquired through the proofs and not from any kind of story progression. I could be wrong on that though, so if I am, please correct me down in the comments below. Each of these Keyblades has 3 abilities. For Oathkeeper, these are MP Converter, which changes all the drops to MP Orbs, Situation Boost, which builds up your situation meter faster, and a Form Change Extender, which increases the amount of time your form change situation commands will last. This does not increase the time you are in the forms, or rather how long you have to activate them. Oblivion has the same abilities, except the MP Converter ability is changed to HP Converter. So rather than MP Orbs, HP Orbs will drop. Okay, now let's jump to the individual form changes. Let's start with Light Form. Light Form is triggered by having the Oathkeeper Keyblade equipped. Light Form is signified by Sora's clothes changing to a gray and white color palette, with the kanji for light adorning his pants and hood. Sora's toy form follows the same gray and white color palette change, but his monster and pirate forms are pretty different. In his monster form, his fur changes to a darker color, and the stripes on his legs and face change to white. His jacket is the same as his base form, and his hair changes to a golden whitish color. His pirate form shows his undershirt and fur changing to white, as well as his cufflinks and bandana. The symbol on his hat changes to the Paopu fruit charm seen on the keychain for Oathkeeper. On the inside of his coat, you can see that the color is changed to white, and the kanji for light can be seen. The abilities for this form change have some of the new abilities added in the 1.07 update. Some of these are actually callbacks to abilities from previous games. Light Form and Dark Form are the first form changes to allow combo modifiers in the form change. We have access to these new combo modifiers, as well as Falling Slash, Rising Spiral, and Groundbreaker, which were the modifiers from the base version of Kingdom Hearts 3. The base shotlock for Oathkeeper is called Sunray Blast. This uses the shooting star shotlock animation, and the projectiles shot out seem to be shards of light. The transformation into this form uses the second form animation. Sora flips the Keyblade and catches it before glass shatters around him. His Keyblade disappears for a second and reappears during this, which we didn't see with second form. The logo for Light Form shows the words Light Form in a golden color with the Paopu charm above the words and wings spreading out on either side. Below the words is the heart symbol seen at the top of the Keyblade. The keychain cord can be seen behind that. Light shoots upwards around the logo and a rainbow shines above the charm. Let's look at the combat now. The combo opens with Quick Slash. This shows Sora spinning with his Keyblade outstretched before he slices upwards. A flash of energy shoots up in front of him from the slice. Sora follows this up with Flash Step. Sora jumps forward while holding the Keyblade out in front of himself. This can damage enemies but also can block incoming attacks. At the end of the dash, Sora slashes upwards. This will trigger first in the combo if you are far away from an enemy. This is also an attack used in Kingdom Hearts 2. The last attack before the combo finishers is Radio Blaster. This launches blade projectiles at nearby enemies. Sora twists into the air and slams his Keyblade down, pushing out blades as an orb appears and pushes out with the attack. This will trigger first in the combo if you are surrounded by enemies. Now let's look at the combo finishers. The first ground combo finisher is Zantetsuken. Sora jumps back and crouches as he flips his Keyblade backwards. He charges forward as a ray of light appears with a flash and follows his slash. This was originally from Kingdom Hearts 1. The second combo finisher is Finishing Leap, a combo modifier from Kingdom Hearts 2. This shows Sora jumping into the air as the top of his Keyblade shines with light. He plunges his Keyblade into the ground as light pushes outwards and sparkles appear in the surrounding area. At the end of this attack, he twists in the air and we can see the light closing up in a pillar from the ground. His Keyblade glows purple after this for some reason. The last ground combo finisher is Black Hole. Sora does an overhead slash which has a greenish color to it. This spawns 5 beams of light that shoot outwards in different directions. This matches the number of points on the Paopu charm. Sora spins and does a horizontal slash as they all move outwards. You can actually see the kanji for light on top of the beams. Okay, now let's look at the aerial combo finishers. The first combo finisher is Triple Edge. Sora slashes upward, flipping with the attack before stopping and attacking the other direction. This is a strong slice downwards that spawns a pillar of light. This is the same kind of attack that Riku can pull off. The second combo finisher is Spinning Rush. This shows Sora doing 2 quick horizontal slashes before doing a flipping slash. He then spins the Keyblade in the air and catches it before dashing forward and slashing upwards. The end of the attack looks really similar to one of Riku's attacks. The last combo finisher is Spiral Charge. Sora throws the Keyblade out around himself before he dashes forward. He doesn't hold the Keyblade, but rather it spins in front of his hand as light appears in front of his outstretched hand. Light flies back around Sora during this attack. This looks a bit different than the attack we saw in the first Remind trailer, actually. In that one, we saw these green pieces around Sora. Alongside all of these attacks, there are also some situational ones. If you are above an enemy, Sora will use Aerial Dive, a combo modifier from Kingdom Hearts 2. Sora spins around, slashing out at the enemy 4 times. If the enemy is above Sora, he will use Aerial Sweep. This shows an initial effect for the first spin and another slashing effect for the final hit. As I mentioned before, Sora can also use the 3 combo modifiers from the base game in this form change. I won't go into detail explaining those since we've all probably seen them already. I'll note some other things real quick before we move on to Dark Form. The guard for this form change is a barrier. It has a golden tint to it, and when you successfully block an attack, you can use the Reprisal Light Burst. This shows light shooting out and the kanji for light appearing around the area. Dodging on the ground will show Sora disappearing into a flash of light and reappearing after a few moments. This is pretty much the light counterpart to Riku's Dark Roll ability. For both Dark and Light Form, the magic and idle animations are not changed. And I think that is it for Light Form. Let's look at Dark Form. As I said before, Dark Form and Light Form share a ton of similarities. Rather than just repeating myself during this portion of the breakdown, I will only point out the unique aspects of Dark Form. Dark Form, believe it or not, is triggered by equipping the Oblivion Keyblade. This changes Sora's clothes to a black color palette, and the kanji for darkness adorns his pants and jacket. Sora's toy form changes to almost completely black, as does his monster form. His pirate form also changes to black, and we can see the kanji for darkness on his coat. The symbol on his hat actually changes to the symbol at the top of the Keyblade. Now let's look at the abilities for Dark Form. An ability unique to Dark Form is the Dark Siphon ability. This will recover MP when you take dark damage. The base shotlock for Oblivion is called Blade Fury Eclipse, and shows the animation for the Diamond Dust shotlock. You can see a dark shard in the middle of all these projectiles actually. The logo for Dark Form shows the words of the form in a bluish color with a purple outline. The crown from the keychain can be seen above it, and the wings spread out around the logo. The keychain underlines the words, and behind this we can see either the hilt or top of the Keyblade. A dark light pulses behind the crown, and blue light can be seen floating around the logo. During the transformation, you can see Sora's crown necklace fade into the black keychain, and the wings flap out to surround the logo. The combo finishers are slightly different, with dark effects showing instead of light. The last combo finisher of the ground combo is different. This is called Dark Break. Sora teleports into the air and dives towards the ground. 8 dark shards appear around Sora, and darkness spreads outwards. You can also see 4 shards in the middle glowing. All of the shards disappear as dark flames and electricity shoot upwards. The name of this attack and how it looks is probably a nod to Riku's Dark Break attack. The aerial combo finishers all have dark effects instead of light, but are the same attacks. Dark shards and electricity can be seen around Sora during the last attack. All of the combo modifiers are the same as light forms, though Aerial Sweep has a dark effect to it rather than a light one. Who would have guessed it, but the dodge is also the same as light forms, though this one has a dark effect to it. Magic and the idle animation are the same, so the only thing left is the guard and reprisal. The guard is another barrier, though this one has chains around it and a purplish tint. The same tints for both light and dark forms barriers are seen in Riku's boss fights in the Realm of Darkness. Riku has a light tint to it when using a barrier with Mickey, and a dark tint to it when he's using it by himself. The chains seen here are probably a reference to the chains in the Oblivion Keyblade. The reprisal is called Dark Burst and shows the chains breaking outwards to damage enemies. The chains on the barrier actually disappear during this attack, and new broken chains appear with the reprisal. And I think that is it for Dark Form. Now the form everyone has been waiting for, Double Form. This is the second level to both Light and Dark Form. With Light Form you will get the Double Form OKP situation command, and with Dark Form you will get the Double Form OBV situation command. OKP stands for Oathkeeper, and OBV stands for Oblivion. I don't believe there is an actual difference, and you can actually build both up at the same time. Activating both situation commands does not change or trigger anything, but you can have 2 double form changes saved up, allowing you to essentially stay in the form for twice as long. Double Form mixes Sora's clothes, changing one half of his body to Light Form and the other half to Dark Form. Oathkeeper as well as the Light Form palette will always be on Sora's right side, and Oblivion and the Dark Form palette will always be on the left side. This is the opposite of how Roxas holds Oblivion and Oathkeeper. The kanji for light adorns his right pant leg, and the kanji for darkness adorns his left. The Kingdom Hearts symbol can be seen on his sleeves and hood. The back of his hood has half white and half black, which changes the color of the symbol on either side. It's cool to see a Kingdom Hearts symbol made from a light and darkness outline. Sora's toy form mixes the color palette rather than having half and half. His monster form shows a different jacket than his base form actually. His sleeves are white, as is his pockets. His gloves stay white as well. I think this is the first time we have seen Sora's monster form differ from his base form jacket. The rings on his legs alternate between black and white stripes, and his hair is black with the tips being the golden white color of light form. Sora's pirate form shows his undershirt changing to white and black, though the white side is on the side of Oblivion and the black side is on the side of Oathkeeper. The underside of his coat shows the same pattern as his base form, with both kanjis appearing on their Keyblade's side. His hat has the Kingdom Hearts symbol. Now let's look at the abilities for this form change. There are 4 normal abilities, which are Aerial Sweep, Combo Master, Dark Siphon, and Hidden Potential. We already know what these are, so I'm not going to talk about them in detail. All the other abilities are combo finishers or modifiers. The only other one we have is Guard Breaker. This prevents your attacks from being deflected. The shot lock for double form is Stellar Inception. Sora spins into the air and lets go of his Keyblades. These spin in the air and light glows at the top of both Keyblades. Oathkeeper has a more goldish light and Oblivion has a more purplish light. These move towards Sora as he raises his hands into the air. He wraps his arms around each other and you can see a gold and purple light glowing on his hands, same as the Keyblades. Alternating purple and gold light converge around Sora's hands before a single sparkle appears. The 2 Keyblades lock beside him facing downwards. These plunge downwards, transforming the ground into a galaxy. Light appears and flies towards the targeted enemies. The transformation into double form shows Sora flipping whichever Keyblade he has equipped and calling both Keyblades to his hands. The glass shadow can be seen here as well. I think the reason they had the Keyblades disappear for Dark and Light Form's transformations was because double form also used the beginning of it. The devs could then switch the Keyblade to whichever hand it was supposed to go to, thus making the transition seamless. Anyways, let's move on. The logo shows the words double form with the keychains underlining the words. A wing from Oblivion and one from Oathkeeper on either side, as are the 2 symbols for these Keyblades. Now let's look at the combat for double form. The combo opens with a flurry of slashes, starting with a downward slash with the Oathkeeper before he does a horizontal slash with Oblivion. Sora then does one more slash with Oathkeeper before jumping into the air and slashing out with both Keyblades. Depending on which Keyblade Sora uses, the color of the slash effect will change. If you are close enough to the ground, all these attacks in the base combo will leave marks in the ground. The next attack is a quick dash forward where Sora crosses his arms and slashes outwards with both Keyblades. Each Keyblade leaves behind their color of light effect. If you are far away from the enemy, this will trigger first. Both of these attacks are reminiscent of Roxas' combo from his fight in Kingdom Hearts 2. A lot of the attacks in double form actually are almost the exact same as Roxas' attacks. I'll be sure to point them out as we get to them. Moving on, the third attack of the combo shows Sora flipping upside down and spinning around, sending a flurry of light and darkness flying out at enemies. This attack will trigger first if you are surrounded by enemies. Sora's first combo finisher in double form is Double Blast. This shows him jumping into the air and slamming both Keyblades down. This sends up 8 pillars of darkness and light, 4 of each. Light spirals around the light pillars, obviously, and chains fly up from the pillars of darkness. At the top of these chains are the same symbol we saw earlier on Dark Form's pirate hat. This is the top part of the Oblivion Keyblade. It's really odd that we have seen this appear twice now. I've never been aware of this symbol before now, but if you have seen this elsewhere, be sure to let me know where down in the comments below. The next combo finisher is Flash Charge. This shows Sora doing a sweeping strike before thrusting forward with Oathkeeper. Sora spins Oblivion behind himself during this charge. This is practically the same animation that Sora does when he is casting Fire Magic in Master Form. The last combo finisher on the ground is Mirage Thrust, which shows Sora twisting in the air and spinning his Keyblades in front of his hands before he catches them and thrusts them down in front of himself. Orbs appear around the Keyblades as multiple rays of light and darkness pierce the area in front of Sora. This is incredibly similar to the attack you could do against Roxas when you stole his Keyblades. After getting off a combo finisher, Oathkeeper and Oblivion would appear around Roxas and fly at him multiple times. Your combat in the air is the same as your combat on the ground, although your first combo finisher is switched out with an attack called Equilibrium Burst. Sora crosses his Keyblades before thrusting his chest out, surrounding himself with an orb of light as rays of light and darkness circle around him. This was another attack that Roxas would use against you in Kingdom Hearts 2. Now let's look at some situational attacks while in double form. If you are above an enemy, Spinning Strike will trigger. Sora spins towards the enemy, slashing out multiple times. It is similar to this attack that Roxas would use against you in Kingdom Hearts 2. If you are below an enemy, Sora will use a special version of Aerial Sweep. Sora will spin into the air with his Keyblades outstretched. When he reaches the height of his attack, rays of light and darkness circle out around him. Your circle modifiers are also available to you in double form. If you are on the ground, you will trigger Launching Thrust. Sora will do a quick spin on the ground before shooting upwards. If you are in the air, you will trigger Ground Breaker, though it is a bit different from the base version. Sora flips twice as he knocks the enemy towards the ground. Just like in your base form, you can hit circle twice to trigger both modifiers one after the other. The guard for this form change shows Sora holding both Keyblades in front of himself in the backwards position. Both Keyblades glow during this, and an array of light and darkness circle around him. If a hit connects with your guard, you can use the Dual Smasher reprisal. This shows Sora dashing forward and uncrossing his Keyblades to deal damage to those around him. This one may be a stretch, but I think this could be a nod to the AoE attack that Roxas can do. Dodging on the ground or in the air while in this form change will show Sora dashing forward. He moves so fast that he looks like a blur, and when he reappears, he spins, slashing out around him. This can damage enemies that are close enough to you. While magic has not really changed, both Keyblades glow while casting magic, and the magic finishers will have Sora using both Keyblades to cast it. Your jump in this form change is reminiscent to your high jump used in Valor form. The idle animation for double form shows Sora flipping his Keyblades in front of himself. The way he holds his Keyblades in his general stance is pretty similar to Roxas' combat stance. And finally, the finisher for double form. Sora flips backwards as he summons his Keyblades crossed. He then twists in the air and holds them together pointed towards the sky. A circle forms in the air with half of it being light and half of it being darkness. A magic circle is summoned, and we can see a giant kanji symbol for light and another for darkness. We can also see Scala language on this magic circle. Light floods the screen, and when it fades back in, Sora flips back, spinning the Keyblades in front of his hands. He catches them and crosses his arms before he thrusts his chest out, and pillars of light and darkness appear all around. The area around Sora has changed to a skyline, and we can see bat and angel wings around the magic circles. Above Sora is a purple magic circle, and below him is a yellow one, symbolizing Oblivion and Oathkeeper. After a while, the screen whites out again, and we can see the magic circle disappearing as Sora lands back on the ground. The logo during this changes to show a blue tint across it. The crown is above the words, and the charm is below it. While it is not really the same, Roxas' Miracle Hour attack also changes the background to a skyline in Kingdom Hearts 2, and he spins his Keyblades in front of his hands during this attack, though Sora only does it for part of his ultimate attack rather than the whole time like Roxas. And I think that is everything there is with light form, dark form, and double form. If I missed something, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. These forms really blew me away with their speed, strength, and style. Which form change was your favorite, light or dark form? Obviously, double form takes the cake, but personally, I think I'm leaning more on the side of dark form. Anyways, I am pretty active on Twitch, YouTube, Discord, and Twitter, so be sure to follow the links down in the description below to stay connected. If you enjoyed this, then be sure to check out my other form change breakdowns by clicking the card on screen. Subscribe or share this, and I will see you in the next video.